Powered by GoGoat Sports and in partnership with TSN. This is season 4, episode 19 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. And it is presented by our title sponsor, Canadian Club Whiskey. And Ray, we wouldn't know that you're still in Cologne, Germany. Looking like you're having a good time, spending time with Landon and Emily and family and enjoying some hockey over there. And I'm sure the buzz internationally of World Cup of Soccer and all of those good things.
Yeah, they're not quite so pumped with the World Cup here right now as Germany's struggling their way through their group. And I got to tell you that for those that have spent time in Europe, they'll understand this. The pace of things here is just phenomenal. I'm sure like Landon told me today, we were out walking through these Christmas markets that are in, I don't know, I couldn't even tell you how many different places in Cologne, and they're just awesome. There's Christmas music. People are walking around with this stuff, this wine drink. I'm trying to remember the name, Glühwein, and it's like a sugared wine, warm, and they just walk around. It's open carry, and nobody seems too bothered, right? They just go around, and you can't walk 6 feet without walking by a pastry place, and but he told me today, he's like, you've got your North American walk going. He goes, slow down. And so we slowed down. I love it. We're having a great time, and come back Thursday and went to a game this week, or went to two. He scored the second game, and they won. Nice. It was really, really fun. The Europeans watching experience as well is, I don't know, in my mind, it's far superior than to what we do in North America, where we just sit and watch the game and we cheer when our team scores and all that. But I mean, it's singing and chanting against the other team's supporters, and they chant back, and the energy in the arena was so great. And so it was, it's been really fun.
So no different than any NHL building in North America. What would happen if the German League or the National Hockey League followed the lead by World Cup and just stop selling beer? You can't have a beer at the match. Would there be a problem?
The game would be shut down. There would be. So they sell these beers, these Kolsch beers, and they come, Dregs. They come in those little thin glasses. Okay. So the problem is, it's like 3 sips and the glass is gone, and then you just go get another one, and it's like an endless supply. And so these guys are professionals, the Germans, by the way, at this. It's nothing to sit there and you between periods, and you're like, oh geez, I just had 2 more of those. Would you look at that? And you walk over there and you're like, oh, I have another one, and oh, would you look at that? There's a brat. And I don't know if I'm eating my way to health over here, but those beer sales they're critical to the infrastructure.
Well, look, next trip to Germany, we're going to get Cater Tish or Patrick or somebody from Canadian Club Deep D to set you up with a kiosk, right? With a big sign, "Are you over beer?" And you have like a big keg of CC or the mixed in a can.
I think
say, try this.
I think, Dregs, I think it would go big. I don't think it's really I don't think it's the actual type of beverage.
No,
I don't think, I think it would go well. I think it would go well.
All right. Headlines once again this season, as you know, here in season 4 of the Ray and Dregs podcast, presented by our good buddies at Boston Pizza. And, we thought we'd do the quarter mark assessment just because teams have passed, the 20 game mark. And I think we'll kind of salt a little bit through that. But before we individualize teams, and it's going to be hard not to do that right off the top of headlines here, I wanted a thought on 2 players who are just on an unbelievable run. And let's start with Jason Robertson and the Dallas Stars. Robertson now has 19 goals after last night, a win over St. Louis, 16 games straight, point streak. And Marner scored a nice goal. Feed from Mark Giordano last night, caught the Detroit Red Wings a bit flat-footed. He's got 7 goals, but he's got points now in 17 straight, which is just shy of tying the record established by our good buddy Eddie Olczyk and Daryl Sittler. to amass those runs, those streaks in any era is hard, right? But this isn't the
Yeah.
'80s. You know, we're in a
Yeah,
new
okay,
realm of
but
the game.
yeah, it's not the 90s either. When you scored twice
True.
a month, it's like, but it is
Yeah, yeah,
amazing. It honestly, Dregs, it's amazing because A, of course, it signifies incredible consistency. It also um, you have to be in the position to produce because there's a lot of those nights probably when both players haven't had their A game. They probably their
yeah,
legs are a little heavy, they don't quite feel right, whatever it is, and they still create something, whether it's an assist or a goal. I mean, Robertson's the leading point scorer in the month of November. I'll
yeah,
start with him for just a brief thing. Is that so? I'm going through this, and I got a Dallas game coming up, and so when we talk about draft and develop, and we talk about that
yeah.
all the time, and the develop part is really the key. Once you draft them, then it's like how long before those players become like stars or
Hmm.
significant contributors. In the 2017 draft, just think of this. Dallas drafted third. They got Miro Heiskanen. They drafted 26th as well. They got Jake Ottinger. And they
Hmm.
drafted 39th and they got Jason Robertson. A forward, a D, and a goalie in 3 picks in one draft. And that is the cornerstone of their team. Like it's amazing to me that can all happen in the span of, you know, probably what, 18 hours by the time the draft goes, right? Because they had to wait
Yeah.
overnight for the second round. Like
Hmm.
amazing. And Robertson is I've used this before, but Rick Bowness told me last year when I was asking about him, he said he reminded him of I asked him who would I know Jason Robertson as? And he said Luc Robitaille. And he said
Uh-huh.
the puck comes to him, and when he comes to him, he knows how to finish. He
Yeah.
just there's just something special about the way that he finishes. As for Marner, like he's so smart and he's got like that tenacity that creates a lot of the chances for whoever he's out there with. Yeah,
Right.
and of course, once he gets it, he's just a fabulous passer. And we've talked a little bit about Elias Pettersson in Vancouver. He reminds me a little bit of Pavel Datsuk, the way that
Hmm.
he gets the puck, loses the puck, gets it back. He's got the skill to check and all that. So does Marner. Like, what is different from Marner to Datsuk? There's
Hmm.
not much. I mean, Datsuk
Yeah.
would
It's high
not have the
praise.
puck.
Oof. Yeah.
Man, Datsuk wouldn't have the puck, and then he'd get it
Yeah.
back. Marner doesn't have the puck, and he gets it back. He doesn't have to hit anybody. He's got a great stick.
Yeah.
He's a little weasel around the puck, and then he gets it, and magic happens. And it's a remarkable month for both of those guys. Amazing streaks.
Well, I mean, and that's saying a lot when you make that comparison because this isn't the first time on the podcast where you've recognized that Pavel Datsuk was one of your favorite players,
Oh, I
right?
loved him.
Just
I thought
because
he
of
was
everything you
amazing.
just said. Yeah.
Amazing player, Drake. Just an amazing player. He was so fun to watch, and he was also so incredibly unassuming. Like
Yeah.
you, we saw him. You'd watch him walk into the rink, and he looked like the equipment guy. Like he didn't look very athletic. He's really bow-legged. He had one foot that kind of tipped out to the outside, and then he'd get on the ice, and it was like, bing, you know,
He
magic.
was a funny dude too off the ice, right? Like
Yeah.
he portrayed this language barrier better than any Russian or European player. Like he just, and I remember this is going back years ago. Braden Shen was like a rookie. Somehow Braden Shen, Darren Dreger, and Pavel Datsuk got roped in to going to the Cirque du Soleil thing in Vegas.
Okay.
Um, but it was a
Random.
cool experience.
Yep.
It was random. Had to have been NHL related, clearly. But and I recall having a conversation with Datsuk, and I'm like, Jesus, he's pretty fluent. Like there's no issue here. We're understanding each other. We're having a good conversation.
Mm.
And then the next time I saw him, which was in a Red Wings dressing room or wherever, I'm like, he doesn't communicate the same way
No.
inside this room as he did in Vegas that day. But
You know
yeah,
who else
yeah,
was good with
dumb
that,
like a
Dregs?
fox, right?
Yeah, you know who else was good with that? Was Ilya Kovalchuk. Couldn't speak English.
Yeah,
No do
yeah,
interview. Can't do interview. Media would leave and he'd say, "Hey guys, sushi, let's go."
yeah.
He just didn't want to do any interviews.
Sean McEachern, of course, you played a lot against him.
Yep.
He did the same thing. I remember in Ottawa, and I developed a good relationship with him away from the rink again, and still keep in communication with him. And I'm like, Mac, like you give like 5-word answers. And he goes, "Yep, that's by design." Then they stop coming to me, so I don't have to worry
Well,
about it.
there you
Like,
go.
okay, good deal.
It's a
Um,
strategy.
Next item on our list of headlines today, and I'm going to talk about this on insider trading. So kind of stealing my own thunder here a bit, but clearly there's going to be discussion. There's already been discussion at the GM level about the goalies and how they can manipulate certain situations, pressure scenarios, if you will. And we're reminded of that of late. Matt Murray against the Minnesota Wild. In fact, Matt Murray, that's a part of his strategy is to push that net off, right? When he
Right.
feels like he's under siege, there's a little bit too much heat around him. Saw it again as we record on Monday night with Spencer Knight of the Florida Panthers. And now Florida's in a bit of a struggle here, but he did the same thing. What would you do with this? Is it as simple as just leave it as a judgment call to the officials? Okay, the guy gets warned by the official. It looks to us like you're pushing the net off. If you do it again, you're going to get a delay of game penalty. Would that fix it?
Well, no, because what if the posts just aren't strong enough to hold? So what if a goalie like legit knocks the net off? He's going side to side, boom, the post falls off. I don't know what the pounds per square inch. I mean, there's clearly a
Yeah,
pounds per square inch that those pegs
for
can
sure.
hold to. And the second time, it's a legit accident, and he gets a penalty for it. I don't like that. There's a couple of things I saw anyway. The Hockey Night in Canada guys were talking about how they can push it off with their upper body. What I
Yeah,
noticed with Murray, a couple of the pushes, his foot is on the net. It's not even on the post. He's inside the
right.
netting. Those guys don't miss going side to side. They miss by that much, and their foot all of a sudden ends up in the net.
Yeah,
And I'm just pushing off, and the net ends up in the corner. But I would like to think there's a balance between the way the Nets have to protect the forwards rushing the net, because they can't go back to the old pegs. Those things never came off, and somebody break their
yeah.
leg.
Somebody get hurt. Yeah,
Yeah, to it, because the way guys, there's much more speed. You go to the net, and I would think that's ripe for injury. But there's got to be a way that those magnets can be a little more firm.
Hmm.
They should be able to hold, or there should at least be the attempt to build them in a way that they hold a little more force.
Hmm.
Because honestly, it is interesting that it happens more for some goalies than others.
Hmm.
Now, you know who should knock the net off more than anybody? Andre Vasilevsky. By
Yeah,
far, the guy's 240 pounds.
yeah,
Like when he
yeah,
moves from side to side, he is a rocket. And at that side, that net should be in the corner. How come it doesn't go off when he does it?
yeah.
Well, because he's not trying to push it off. And so
Right.
I think it's pretty easy to identify who the main culprits are, but that doesn't mean it's easy to come up with the best solution.
Right. Now, Connor Hellebuck of the Winnipeg Jets had a different experience, but you could tell that he thought this through, right? So he's in the heat of the
Yeah.
battle. His mask flies off, and there isn't a quick enough whistle, right? Um,
Yeah.
Led to a goal too, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So he comes out after the fact, and I think he gave it a day to just process. And his point was it should be boom, automatic whistle. I mean, for
Yeah.
safety reasons, clear. So what I was reminded of, and this isn't completely in contrast of Hellebuck's comments, but from somebody who works with a league, spends a ton of time, watches all games, said, you know what would fix all of this? Chin strap. Just enforce the chin
Yeah.
strap of all the players, because there's been some kind of leeway given with the helmet rule too, to some degree, and how players can and coaches can kind of work around that.
You know why I'm laughing, Drake?
Yeah.
You know what I think of right away? Remember when they tried to enforce the visor? Leo Komarov wore that thing
Yeah.
basically on top of his head.
Like It's straight up there.
And that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, how are you going to, is it going to be like at the start of a soccer match when the teams go out, the starters go out, and the officials uh, observe to make sure everybody's got shin guards in?
Yeah.
Are you going to
I
stand there
guess.
and everybody do up your chin strap, two fingers under the,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Do goalies even wear chin straps?
I
I think,
wouldn't think that they would. They've got the straps on the side, obviously, and it's
yeah,
the cup under the chin. I think that keeps it
you know,
tight.
so with, I don't recall seeing goalies with that strap underneath. Um,
Would they hate that?
oh my gosh, they would. I'm just thinking about like they would lose it. But the so let's say they do have the chin strap or they and the mask comes off, the puck's it's got to be blown dead immediately. Like
Yeah, for sure.
you cannot say that you're for player safety and you're going to leave a goalie out there with no mask. I
No, you
don't care
can't do
how
that.
if that mask hits the ice, that whistle's got to go. What if a guy is halfway through shooting it and somebody deflects a puck, it hits him right in the face?
Yeah.
He could lose an eye, break a nose. Like we all look at those old pictures of the goalies of yesteryear and we're like, those guys were lunatics. What are they doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that mask hits the ice. Uh, I got less tolerance for goalies than because I think they're always looking for a way to cheat. They
With all
really
that
are.
equipment, yeah.
They're always trying to cheat. They're always looking
Yeah.
for the angle, and they figure it out. Most of them. Hellebuck is 100% correct, though.
Yeah. Well,
100%.
and look, Connor Hellebuck, a Vezina Trophy winner, is no different than Sidney Crosby or any of the great players of the game.
Yep.
When they talk and they've got an opinion and it's well thought out and an experienced, educated opinion, I'm willing to at least listen. And here's hoping and
I like
expecting.
Dregs that he spoke the next day. I
I
like
agreed.
because if he would have spoke right after the game, it would have been a mess. He would have been
Yeah.
emotional. It would have been
Yeah.
like as he's going through it, you're like, yep, that makes sense. Yep, that makes
Mhm.
sense. I think he was right on.
All right, let's look at the quarter mark here for some of the clubs, and we can't go through
Yep.
all. But let's start with the New York Rangers. I mean, they just keep kicking themselves in the foot here. And Igor Shesterkin, speaking of Vezina winners, right? As good as he was last year, he's not that this year. And man, did he dive on the sword? No pun intended if we're connecting Marc-Andre Fleury and Alan Walsh to this. But Shesterkin said, "I'm ashamed." He openly talked about how badly he's played this season, but it has to go deeper than that. But we look at the New York Rangers; they're out of the playoffs as we record
Yep.
this podcast on Tuesday. The fans, as fans always do, are looking for targets, and the chants are there. Fire Gallant and all of that seems extreme, but when you assess the first 20 plus games for the New York Rangers, what are you seeing, or maybe more to the point, what aren't you seeing?
Well, in a way, I think it's somewhat predictable that they've struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
I really do. Unless Igor Shesterkin's the best goalie in the history of hockey, he's not going to stop the puck 93.5% of the time every year. It just is not going to happen. That's not what goalies do. Their save percentage is going to revert closer to whatever the league average is. I think he's better than most. If the Rangers don't want him and I'm managing a team and they want to trade him to me, please bring him on. I'll take him. So I think the expectations in New York are unrealistic given what their team is. Don't forget, the Rangers last year, Shesterkin's year was otherworldly. He was the best goalie, bar none, period, full stop, in the NHL last year. And the Rangers, they kind of rode his play until near the trade deadline when they picked up Andrew Kopp, Frank Vatrano, Tyler Mott, among others. They changed that makeup of the team. They became a little grittier, a little harder. Ryan Strome and Artemi Panarin fit hand in glove, like they just fit. So look at the team this year. They have Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere play the 20 and the 21-year-old playing in the top six, and they're not ready to be there.
Right.
So that's a real drop off from Vatrano and Kopp. That's a major drop off. They let Ryan Strome go in free agency. They bring in Vincent Trocheck. I like Trocheck as a player. I don't think him and Panarin fit well together. Now they've got Panarin playing with Kreider and Zibanejad, which kills the depth of your team.
It does.
Trocheck and Strome, while they're both right-handed, are completely different. Trocheck needs the puck. Strome doesn't need the puck. Strome gets the puck. He gives it to Panarin. Panarin can do whatever the heck it is he does. Trocheck needs a puck. There's only one puck. Panarin scored last night. I want to say it was his first goal in 12. He only had six assists he had in the previous 12 games. He didn't have any goals. So we're looking for reasons. Well, how about that? Those 5 things. Like, it's not the same thing. And the fans chanting "Fire Gallant." I'm going to equate this to the Canadian soccer for a second here, with all these articles now, whether John Herdman is he the guy to take them to the next level? 8 days ago, people were talking about what a great coach, what a great manager John Herdman was. Now he's an idiot. Like, that's not the way it works. Gerard Gallant was coach of the year.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't know how to coach 20 games in? Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That I hope for every coach that's not how managers look at their teams. And for fans, I know they're frustrated, but that's got to be white noise.
All right, let's look at a couple of teams positioned in the top 5 as we do episode 19 of the Ray and Dregs podcast. Toronto Maple Leafs and the Dallas Stars. Toronto is less surprising, and let's see where they finish at the end of the year. What about Dallas for you? And look, I believe that Jimmy Nill and the Dallas Stars are going to be one of the more aggressive players in the trade market moving forward. And I don't mean that there's going to be whole-scale changes. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being patient in that process, but adding a piece that could be a difference maker. A top 6 who can play with Marchment and Tyler Seguin. And now all of a sudden, how do you get that piece? I don't know. I'm just saying that, it's no fluke. We talked about Jason Robertson off the top of headlines, but their defense is pretty good. Their goaltending is really, really good. Should we even be a little bit surprised Dallas is a top 5 team?
Well, for me, I am. Certainly, you've got to, they've been a defensive-minded team under Rick Bowness. Man, I'm just fascinated with these coach changes and the teams that have responded well. So Bowness takes his way of playing to Winnipeg. And
it works.
And it works. The Jets they're off to a fantastic first quarter. Dallas gets a more offensive-minded structure and coach in Pete DeBoer, and it works. Vegas gets a more defensive-structured coach in Bruce Cassidy, and it works. And the Bruins get a guy that thinks offense mostly all the time in Jim Montgomery, and it works. Now, sometimes it's right place, right time, but in Dallas's regard, a change in style, yes. The fountain of youth or whatever that Jamie Benn has found is found money for them. Ben has not been this for a couple of years. Tyler Seguin's healthy and skating again. That kind of changes the dynamic of their team. They bring in Marchment, who is a really good sign for them. He's really made himself a legit NHL player. Ottinger's terrific. Heiskanen's one of the best in the game. I mean, this is a good team. By the way, always a shout out to the old little guys in the league. And Joe Pavelski still does it. Man, he is just so good. He's so good.
Really,
and he's
really good.
Always in the middle of everything for them. He's just still a terrific player. And they also have, it's not like they're an old team. I mean, they have, Wyatt Johnson's made their team and done really well for them. So they're younger. Ty Dellandrea has made it, another draft pick. So they've got a good team there. Kind of quiet under the radar though.
Yeah. Toronto, so many ways we could attack that. I mean, you talked about Marner again off the top of the headlines. Willie Nylander is, for me, playing his best level of hockey. Matthews coming into his own. Again, thought he was dominant against Detroit last night. But it kind of feels like you have to start with Matt Murray in goaltending, doesn't it? I mean, amid all the issues that they have on the back end with with Riley and Ben and TJ Brody being sidelined, I mean, it could have been crippling for this team.
Jake Muzzin too.
Muzzin, yes, yeah.
So here's the thing. Before I get to Murray, which their goaltending has been everything they possibly could have hoped for. When Murray was hurt, it was Ilya Samsonov, and he was terrific.
Yeah.
Then Samsonov gets hurt, and Murray dives back in there, and he's been fantastic. So that has to be acknowledged. Dregs, for me, I thought their weakness on their team was their defense, and then you take those guys out of it. I'm just so impressed. They're now, like this month, they're 10-1-4. That's a great month. It's a great month, any month. But they've done it, for me, with lower goals against, better defensive play. And as much as it pains me to say, you cannot win unless you defend. I wish you could just outscore everybody all the time, and that's the way you win. You look at the Leafs, and it centers around those four forwards. It always does. But they've won. Giordano, perennial whipping guy, Justin Hall have been terrific as a pair. Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Liljegren have really played well the last little bit in particular. And don't forget their first round picks. It's talked earlier, draft, develop. How long does it take before you're a legit player? Those guys are 2017, 2018 drafts. So it's pretty impressive for them. And they're going to get Riley back. And now they can save some cap room, and maybe that changes who you can go after. If Muzzin's on LTI for the rest of the year, if he doesn't come back, maybe that changes a bit, but it's been an impressive month for them.
All right. Let's wrap up headlines. Is there a most disappointing team for you at the quarter mark? I mean, you've got Ottawa, you've got Calgary, maybe Rangers. We've already talked about. Where does Nashville fit into that conversation? Is there one that jumps off the page that maybe I haven't even mentioned?
Yeah, Pittsburgh for me.
Okay.
They look like they're lost. Like they just don't have the traction I thought they would get. Now, I personally, and of course, I never make any decisions that matter, so it doesn't matter. It's just what I think. They decided to re-sign all the big guys.
Yeah. And
it doesn't even matter if Malkin is having a great start or not. It doesn't matter. To me, that's $6 million that you could have used to try and improve the depth of your team, because they don't have it. And I'm really surprised. I thought they would be much better. I mean, Crosby's in the top 10 in scoring. The guy's 35 years old. Yeah. He's off to an amazing start. Jake Gensel's a terrific player. Malkin is clearly better than he was last year after he came back from his knee injury, but they can't keep the puck out of their net. Their penalty killing stinks. And here they are out of the playoffs. I'm really surprised. I will finish with this, though, Drake's two teams, I think, three teams I got to mention quick is New Jersey, Vegas, and Boston. They've just been incredibly impressive. Jersey's all these little guys that just swarm all over you. They're so fast. And Vitek Vanacek has given them goaltending that they just didn't have last year. Vegas got healthy, and they're good. Logan Thompson's been a real story in goal for them. I didn't see it. I don't know that that's the long answer there, but man, they've been good. And Boston, I was one of the group that said, hey, you know what? If they can just hang on till American Thanksgiving, till they get these guys back, but they've thrived, and they really look like they fit, like they've got something going there.
All right. Those are your headlines. Once again, thank you to Boston Pizza.